Hello there, I'm Nada Serafimovic and today we're talking about my new sticker book. Hello guys, so today I realized I have to make another video and to talk a little bit more about my traveling and what inspired me to do everything as the way I did, the illustrations are from this Inktober. It's 2019 and my previous videos were totally opposite of one another. I was quitting at one moment and at the other moment I realized I just so want to make some short kind of campaign. So yeah, before somebody interrupts me by coming through a door or my phone rings, I wanted to share something with you, and that's except the process of inking and all that, I wanted to show you the final results and the materials I used, and then the most important part, what's inside the book and how it looks and how I prepared it for printing and blah blah. So maybe more about traveling, that's more interesting. So the famous Copic brush pen from my videos, that's the thing I went minimalistic with this October for Inktober, and no other, like no zebra, no micro pens, no felt tips, nothing like that. And this was my sketching Faber-Castell jumbo grip, like this is like prismatic triangular base wooden pencil, color pencil, and it's pretty shiny when you put it on, so it's really hard to see it from some angle, but you can see this is really visible even when pushed hard, and still when you put the ink over it, it's a little bit shine through, but when you put ink around it as a sketch, it doesn't really dominate, and it's easy for you to see if the ink is finished and nicely looking. So you can see the shine through, but as soon as I erase it, I can just add some ink on weak spots. So that's all about materials. I just used something like regular, nothing special, like notebook. I got as merch from some exhibition, and these are 30 cities. And 31st drawing is something like a cover, and I put it on using my laser machine on plywood 3mm, and this is something like hobby store foamy material with two sides, and I realized this is like almost the same color as the etching, the laser engraved part color, so I matched it like that. And this is very soft, so it doesn't, even if it's not perfectly done like a spine or something, it doesn't ruin the confetti holes over time. So if you want to show it to somebody, or you just want to not use it for a travel journal or something, you just want to keep it like this, and scroll over, or just look from time to time, the paper will not get exhausted on the edges of confetti holes. So that's my genius idea. So let's talk about traveling, and why did I start to travel? God knows. I always wanted to travel. I even wanted to go with some of my male friends just for protection, and going into very like serious, dangerous let's say dangerous, not really, but risky situations with my traveling. And even then, when I had some crazy, very safe, very good guys to travel with around Europe and stop the cars or something like that, I didn't have the minimum budget. So I waited like much longer after that, like from when I was 18 till now, to really travel where I want. And this sticker book kind of represents some of the places that were inspiring, and some of them I I went short, like I made like short trips. Some of them were like on my European tours. I made 2 of them. So yeah, let's start. This, I'm sorry for my heavy breathing. So I made it on premium glossy photo paper from I think it's called Evergreen Goods. They're the only suppliers for nice label papers for these Cricut machines. I mean, if you're not a company and not ordering tons of it, who want to ship and who are able to ship to Serbia. And sticker paper was super hard for me to find like that, like small amounts for the beginning for testings. And since it's glossy, I cannot use it as print and cut option on my Explore Air 2 Cricut machine, because the lamp recognizes the shine as not black enough when it goes around to recognize the edges of the 100% black line in printing. So when it shines from the lamp itself, it recognizes as light gray or no color, and it just stops. It doesn't even start. So yeah, I hacked the machine. And as for traveling and sticker paper, where were we? I used my regular template with Instagram profile account, like, yeah, Nada Since the Souvenirs, that's mine. And then something like typographic logo where my full name is, and that's what I use for all my sticker sheets. But there is a difference this time, because I had to make holes. So I didn't put it on center. This time I put it a little bit to the right, and they were smaller. They were not, I could not use as much of a sticker paper as I usually do with small stickers. So it was like I changed the center to the right a little bit, like 1.5 centimeters, and then I just made a Cricut cutting files and matched it with printing guidelines. So each sticker book page has artwork sticker and the typography that I was writing under every city and town and place I've been to. And the logical I did this like almost at the end, because when I'm emotionally attached to the location, like Macedonia, like Skopje or Ohrid or something, I definitely had some kind of emotional block, because I know too much about those places, and Belgrade was one of them. So at the end, I literally made a joke on my account, and I made something that is like a double-sided story that is funny and simple. Why? Because the sparrow is a mascot, and this is like a sculpture that is on a landmark in Belgrade, and its name is Winner. So as I said, this sculpture name is a Winner, and I want to make a joke about how Balkanian people and Belgrade people are proud of who they are and their history, and such a mixed, diverse culture, and all the previous cultures that were on these. Generally, I think the history reflects mentality, so this is illustration of that. And yeah, I kind of, at the end, I liked the lettering a lot, and it put me into nice place, because I could also have people who are traveling and making their scrapbooking or travel journals. If they don't like the illustrations, they could just use the city sticker name and put it in their travel journal, and it doesn't take this much place as this. This is almost like, I think like 9-10 centimeters height. Okay, next one. This one I also had emotional block with, because I was let's say a long time in Paris, like 2 months. Some people are there for a year who are in art residence, but 2 months for me there was like a long time. So I do think that I just did something that is more of a cliche than real how I felt there and what I think about the place. So yeah, this is Paris. I just made something like a postcard on canvas. It's painting all the landmarks at once, and that's it. So this is Paris. Krakow is town in Poland. It's a small one, but it's, I think, the most important one for history of Poland, but because it was longer the capital of Poland than Warsaw, that is the capital of Poland today, and since I think 1950s or something, like after Second World War. And Krakow is such a lovely place to be on. It has their mascot. It's like a dragon, like a serpent, and there is a legend about Krakow that you can probably Google from. It's very interesting, and I wanted to make something like birdie looking dragon, like mad dragon, and the other bird is saving the town and all that. So that's Krakow. Let's talk about Gdansk. That's the real pronunciation. Some people from English-speaking territory would say Gdansk or whatever. So Gdansk is a real pronunciation, and I loved it because it reminded me somehow of Amsterdam, because it's on almost the same part of the sea. It's geographically near, and the culture is kind of making narrow houses, and it's a big trading point of Europe, and it was rich at the time. And I wanted to. There were like pirate ships, and there were a lot of stories from local guides about the pirates at that time and stealing the wealth and taxes, and it was very nice to hear the local guide about it. So yeah, that's Gdansk. That's okay. Let's go more. Okay, Split. Split is in Croatia. It's on Adriatic Sea, and I absolutely love everything about the place. I mean, I fell in love the first time I went there. It was like 5 years ago, I think, my first time to go to Split, although it's not far away from Belgrade at all, and it's like showing some let's say Diocletian, who originally built this beautiful small town for him to be his palace and build a town around it. But I added something that is like lower in like his like, let's say, the main guy in town, and he built a town, but I added something that is much more low graded as a sign, just to add something that is more recognizable for Roman period. And he's drinking wine while he is super lazy and being in his Roman chair on the donkey, and donkey is bringing him uphill, and donkey is a mascot of a town Split. It's a very smart animal, and I love the stories about that as well. So yeah, that's Split in Croatia. Then Rome. I really had a struggle with this when it comes to idea, and some of them my boyfriend helped me with what to draw. So this is like a sculpture that is a fountain, and it's a Cupid. It is such an overwhelming town. I mean, there is so much. You cannot just put it on paper as a small vignette. So the same as Paris, the same as Belgrade, that I know very well, that I grew up in. So let's just go easy on yourself when you have a problem like this, and isolate something that is like easy for you to say you can stand up for as an idea, but yet doesn't portray absolutely everything. It's ridiculous for Rome to make small illustration that tells everything. Then again, Croatia. This is capital of Croatia, Zagreb. I suppose you heard about them, about football quality or something like that. And this is a legend about the city. This was a tunnel during the First and Second World War, built in the hill that is called Grič, and they have cannons, like one cannon that is that you can hear every day in Zagreb, but I put two because of the symmetry of the composition. And there is a legend about a witch of Grich Hill. So I just made fun of that, and it's October, it's Halloweeny, so I liked it. Okay, Zagreb is also a very beautiful city. I think I love Zagreb, and yeah, Zagreb the most of all Balkany when it comes to beauty. It's a city of art for sure. This is a brief meeting of Dusseldorf. It was very rainy. It was middle of summer. We were going from Amsterdam to Stuttgart, and it was crazy. It was just a storm, like you should expect in the winter anywhere. And we were frozen and bored. We couldn't move because we were already soaked wet from like being minute on the first rain, and then it stopped and it started again. So this is my Dusseldorf impression in one day. And I realized also something that matches northern Germany everyday life. I realized there are much more depressive faces of people in the streets than I saw in other cities in Germany, and especially out of Germany. So that's Dusseldorf. This is very special to me. This is Kandy. Kandy is in Sri Lanka. This is the first location out of Europe. I kind of saw we're in. So it's a Buddhistic country mainly. There is also Krishna's temples and maybe some other religious thing, I don't know, but it's mainly Buddhistic. And there we rode the elephant there, and we saw so many temples. We thought that we would see like one or two in Old Kandy, and we stayed there for a month. After 10 days, we saw like 50 temples like this. Like this is the main recognizable thing, like that this is the main build that they pray in, and then the giant Buddha that you can see from far away, and they're all almost always like grayish, like concrete built, or white from a stone, which is also often times seen there in Sri Lanka, or gold. The golden ones they're obviously the most expensive ones to make, so they're the rarest. We saw 2 or 3 of them, but that's still nice. So yeah, this is kind of a Kandy. It was so peaceful. I was so feeling great there. If you want to go on vacation, Sri Lanka is the top one, I think. From top 5 is number 1. Okay, moving next. Too much talking about Sri Lanka. Prague. Okay, it was my first trip with my boyfriend, like anywhere, and we went to Prague 5 days, and we were not drinking water for 5 days. This is maybe not suitable for kids to say in a video. Don't watch this, kids. But beer is something like not really making that alcohol effect in your blood. It's just making you being in a really good mood and enjoying walking long walks. We were in winter, we were in January there or something like that, and the beer is amazing. I mean, Serbian beer, no offense, but Czech beer, number 1. So this is like, yeah, love and beer in Prague. Okay, so Amsterdam. I wanted to make something interesting about them being progressive in every way. So, and everybody knows the story about riding a bicycle. So if I just illustrated a person on a bicycle, there could be some other city as well, and yet it would be just so it's not creative solution. So I made something like Van Gogh's hat and some weird expression, and then I put their footwear, traditional footwear from that area, as a vehicle, like a cool modern vehicle, and I put the bird on it. So yeah, that's how I see Amsterdam. I had a lovely several days in Amsterdam, and I'm very much looking forward to go again if I have a chance. But I always want to go somewhere new if I can. I don't like to repeat before I'm really satisfied with my travelings. Okay, this is a very small, super small town. It's named Tuzla. It's on a Balkan, and yeah, Tuzla has a saying that Serbian and people from Balkan all know. It's in the songs, and it say, "All town Tuzla had milk from one goat." That's some kind of a rough translation, and it's very nicely rhymed in our language. Cela Tuzla, jednu kozu muzla. So I thought it might be along with something like Muslim temple in the background. I think it would be very nice to show that. And I love the composition and the simplified, the way this vignette came up so simple. I love the simplicity of it. I don't know why. So yeah, this is Tuzla. Let's go over. This is Vienna. This is funny. I didn't have really idea for Vienna because Vienna is so many things in one. And then my boyfriend said, "Why don't you do the opera?" And you know, they have wonderful, famous, globally famous opera culture and opera house. And I said, "Yeah, sure." Some screaming bird would be nice. And fat, of course. That's a stereotype, but really, it looks funny, right? So that's Vienna. Yeah, we had a nice time in Vienna. I will not comment. Everything is in Vienna is perfect. I rarely have something to explain when something is perfect. Stuttgart. Wow, this is place from which I know many. I met many nice people there. There are many people from our region living in Germany, and especially in Stuttgart and Munich. So everywhere you walk, you can hear our language, less German, that's for sure. So that was funny. On the other hand, Stuttgart for me is, even if it's beautiful, it's super boring. I mean, it's super boring. I'm sorry, Stuttgart. I probably didn't have the huge like, I probably had a wrong experience of it, or I didn't go right places, but it's a nice place. But for me, it had a super boring vibe, like a slow, not really a slow vibe, just purely boring. So this is Stuttgart, and they have a huge Mercedes sign on a train station, and that's why I did it. Okay, moving next until I hurt someone's feelings. I hope if you live in Stuttgart, you love your Stuttgart and that you are not bored. And Paul, if you're listening, I love you. So yeah. So let's go further. It's Barcelona, and many people connect Barcelona with other painters, but I somehow managed to choose Dalí because this was my first huge, like, big meeting with this painter in this town. And I think the most important parts of his art career is in Barcelona, and this city is huge and wonderful and has wonderful beaches. You know, when you expect the city beach to be the dirtiest one, that was the most wonderful one I have ever seen, and the biggest one. So everything about Barcelona was impressive and lovely, but this time as an artist I just wanted to give some impression from museum from that particular city, and I chose I just tried to implement many of his let's say unrealistic type of paintings, not his early ones. And I suppose if you know Dalí's work, you can recognize it at once, what I'm talking about. So yeah, moving on. Okay, this is Colombo, and this is the first touch of a ground in that part of our planet. We touched the ground in Colombo on Bandaranaike airport, and what we immediately realized was the humidity. Then we tried to catch a breath, and then we met our wonderful friends who are living mostly in Kandy, and then we went for a wedding of our friends, and it was wonderful. But the tuk-tuk, I said to myself, I have to draw tuk-tuks for this challenge. Just one tuk-tuk will be fine, because I really felt funny, because I'm a heavy person, and I thought, come on, I have to move left. If he goes right, I'm heavy, we will just roll over to another car, and then we're done. It's like a bicycle with a motor. I mean, it's like a motorcycle with metal parts. It's so easy and economic to use, and yeah, I love it, and it looks so nicely. I think it's majorly Italian design, but it's for that territory, like India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh. So they mainly, that's who is using it. Colombo is the capital of Sri Lanka. Okay, Berlin. Berlin it's Germany. I worked in Germany 2009 and 2010, but I was at the countryside, so I thought Berlin is like very exciting. It's like Belgrade, you can go out at night, it's interesting. But honestly, I should have been more prepared for a visit to Berlin with other people I went to, the 5 of us, and I was very tired in Berlin. We spent 3 days, but if you don't know anyone in Berlin who can really hook you up and you can go places with them or with him or with her, doesn't matter, who knows Berlin and lives in Berlin, that's a bad idea, because you cannot go into clubs. And how we managed to spend nice time in Berlin was museums, so I don't have to go to Egypt, honestly. It's all in Berlin. And Paris, I saw in Paris and Louvre many things for that kind of like North Africa territory. All art is there. So if you go to Berlin, you can definitely, let's say, have experience with Egyptian culture and art, and you can see a lot of that. They also have a nice, I saw for the first time many in those museums, very nice German painters, which I didn't know about, and I was impressed. I really loved them. Not everyone would agree, but I really think they were amazing. I can name some of them, but no, I couldn't really remember at the moment. But I can put something in the description below if you wanna look at that kind of things, if you're into art. So Berlin was museums, and I just wanted to somehow portray a bear, because that's a mascot, and they didn't have many ideas for souvenirs there. They just put the graffiti on a flat magnet or these like semaphore signs and the bear, and that's it. And this is the tower. So that's what I did. I tried to be cool in Berlin. That's the vignette about. Okay, Kyiv. This is the capital of Ukraine. This is how we started one of our European journeys over Budapest, and all of us couldn't be impressed more with everything we saw. And I think that's my first touch to such Russian architectural culture, where everything is huge and broad, and you need 20 minutes to pass the street, and it's crazy. And we ended up at some kind of history of war museum in Kyiv, totally unplanned. And then we found out about the history and the free warriors, that's Cossacks. And I drew Cossack with the Ukraine heraldic sign on his shield. That's mainly it. If you want to travel to Ukraine, I highly recommend it, and you go to Kyiv. and it's not expensive, by the way. Sarajevo. Okay, this is what I'm also emotional about. This is where my brother's kid lives now, and he is in a primary school now. And I don't know if it's only that, but I really loved Sarajevo and as a place. The people are so nice and polite, and I just loved everything about it. The bridges, the Miljacka River, and how charming everything is. Even in the new part of Sarajevo, and I don't know. I just love it. Mostly the people. Let's say mostly the people. But it's also very picturesque with the Baščaršija and all the Muslim influence, the decorations, and of course the old buildings, like regular old buildings from like 1890s or early 20th century. So yeah, I love it. They also have a nice ratluk and coffee, lokum and coffee if you want to try. And it's also very nice if you travel to Croatia to see a Split or any other place. It's very nice to go through Sarajevo. Okay, Skopje, also one of the, this is like my second place where I have all my relatives, and this portrays, let's say in short, a little bit of how their city is overbuilt during last 6 years, and also some kind of political issues and situation down there. So that's about Skopje. And I love that place. I just hate seeing them suffering about anything. I'm very emotionally attached to the place, so I'm always, yeah, this is my emotional reaction, and it's hard to understand when you see it like this, but I explained it now. Basel. Wow, this was a heck of a place for me. I was working in Germany, and I was so Basel is famous, and I probably wouldn't know about it if I didn't work in jewelry design. Has the main fair, like in the entire world. If you want to go to the watch fair, the best one is in Basel. So I just made a mascot with lots of watches everywhere, and I think that's the most expensive, like, I think the most luxurious experience in my life. I was like seeing entire blouses from diamonds on one floor, and on another, people who were just there for visiting Fabergé's booth were so expensively dressed. Everything is so, like, too expensive for my taste and for my liking, but it's nice to experience the luxury and to see if that suits you, if you like that, how do you react on material, on other people being rich and you're not, and it was actually amazing experience. I was much younger. It was 10 years ago. Florence, Firenze. I use the typical symbol for Firenze, and if you didn't know, if you're a Disney fan, Pinocchio is the legend, and the story is mainly from Firenze and Geppetto, and I suppose you know, but that's why I'm explaining. I just drew it, and I made it as a bird with the beak and all those legs, but to look like a marionette from wood. Yeah, that's it mainly. Birdie Pinocchio. And I love Florence. I absolutely love the place. I couldn't say more nice things about it. I mean, Florence is the cradle of European Renaissance, and it's wonderful to visit if you have more than 10 days. 10 days is not, even weekend is not enough. Okay, Trinko. This is the whale watching and scuba diving and snorkeling. One of the best destinations in the entire world. And we were at the late monsoon season in Sri Lanka, so the island bridge was closed and we couldn't go there. Yet I wanted to make it like kind of typical, to illustrate something typical for that, and not draw something typical only for Sri Lanka, because Trinko is so special. And I wanted to divide it from other two places in Sri Lanka. So this is what I did. Yeah, that's basically it. Trinko is wonderful. The beaches everything is so cool, and Krishna's temples, if you want to visit, are there. It's more like people, the Tamils coming from south of India, and bring their culture, Krishna's culture, with them to Sri Lanka. Okay, next, we're almost done, I hope. Milano, I hope you're not bored so far. Milano is a city of luxury as well, and a city of fashion and art as well, but fashion is like mainly thing. So I just drew like two fashion models in front of a camera, being all cocky and nice. So that's mainly it. Milano, Italy. Okay, Copenhagen. I was in Copenhagen also briefly, so I ended up being like stuck. I didn't really have, except I've seen wonderful waters and long bridges and the silver lightning over there. It's totally different than like light in Italy or daylight in Paris. It was wonderful for artistic eye. And since I didn't have enough material, I stayed really briefly, but I liked it. I just used Nordic mythology theme and turned my bird into Viking. I think that's it. Okay, Dubai, also brief experience, but I wanted to somehow document it within the sticker book. And I wanted to show the let's say motherly and the family code that thrives in a Muslim world. So that's mainly it. Ohrid, that's in Macedonia, in my region, that's near Skopje. I love the cruising in Ohrid. I love that they have antique finding there on the hill. I love the monasteries and their specific architecture. If you wanted to see, just type Ohrid house, Ohrid architecture, and they have literally because they didn't have much space around the lake, so they built from smaller bays to bigger over the top of it, like the next floor is bigger than the bottom one and all of that. It's very interesting, and it's mostly from wood. That's Ohrid. Okay, the Timisoara. We say Timisoara. This is capital of Romania. We spent 1 weekend there, and it's all about the fate. It was nice. It had a lot of Art Nouveau buildings. But yeah, I ended up again with the folk, like girl in a typical traditional wearing, and with pretzels. That's something, they're very colorful, and the churches are much more colorful than in Serbia, and I love it. They're also Orthodox, most of them. And Venice, and that will be it. I presented some elements of their Venice carnival, gondola, and how stinky it is, because I hate when people comment about the stinkiness. I mean, even if it's stinky from the sumpor or dirt. Okay, Venice is such a beautiful place, and it should be recognized for that, not for the smell. So I just put it in to satisfy all the people in the planet with this drawing. Although I don't really get it. I mean, I could smell whatever, but it's Venice. And I have been to Venice like even several times, and I went to the biennial there. I loved it, like modern art biennial in Giardini, and I was there in 2007. So yeah, basically this is a sticker book. I mentioned in my previous video, if you want, please do go and watch it. If you like this, please like it. I also left a page on Ko-fi if you want to pledge, because I don't have money to make 50 copies of these. If you want to buy it on discount, I have everything on my Ko-fi page, because I really want to share this with all of you guys who want to have this and use it for a travel journal, or just for even for planners, even for, you know, whatever you want. It's decorative, it's nice. So yeah, that will be it, and I really enjoyed doing this additional video, and I hope that you're able to shuffle through my other videos and hear me talk about Inktober and challenges in general, and I gave a lot of tips there. I recommended other people. I always recommend other people when it comes to advices for artists or aspiring artists and illustrators. So yeah, see you, and have a nice time until next week. Bye bye.